On a member for Timmins James Bay.
Madam Speaker, I'm always proud to rise in this House and proud as well to share my time with the member for Vancouver East. There are moments when I have a hard time justifying what people watch on television when it comes to the House of Commons. Many of them think that our democracy is deteriorating into this ridiculous Punch and Judy show between the Liberals and Conservatives of refusing to deal with the issues at hand. And today is a really strong example of this, where the Conservatives have lit their hair on fire over an internal debate between the Parliamentary Budget Office's numbers and the government's numbers over a report that we have access to. There's so many things we could be taking the time to debate. For example, the issue of foreign interference, which everyone is concerned with. But we know that the Conservatives won't go to the foreign interference file because the leader, who lives in Stornoway, will not or cannot get security clearance. And I've never imagined a situation where a would-be Prime Minister is unable or unwilling to actually know if there are threats to this country, because ignorance is not bliss in politics, Madam Speaker. It's dereliction of duty. We could be talking about what's happening on the global stage with the frightening rise of the right in Europe and the threat that that poses to the defense of Ukraine as we see Putin's war machine moving continually against the Ukrainian people, but we don't see the Conservatives wanting to stand up on that, and they have voted against Ukraine a number of times. We could talk about the war crimes findings by the United Nations this week, which I find very disturbing. We find the UN has reported that Hamas crimes against civilians, sexual violence, and kidnapping were extremely horrific on October 7th. And of course, we know that Hamas is a terrorist organization that's been widely condemned, justly so. But it's the findings on Israel in the UN reports that says that the frequency, prevalence, and severity of sexual and gender-based violence against Palestinians to the UN is so it's become part of the normal operating procedures of the Israeli security forces. That is a frightening finding by the United Nations against a close ally of ours, that they're using widespread sexual violence against civilians. The other finding that the UN raised serious concerns about is starvation as a method of warfare. The reality is, of course, that starvation is not a method of warfare. It's not a military aim. It's an attempt to destroy a people. When you cut off food to children and families, you are trying to destroy a people. And that meets the test of genocide. And yet, the Conservatives don't want to talk about that. And Canada had once had a bright light on the international stage on social justice. We are tiptoeing around the horrific violence being perpetrated against people in Palestine, defenseless people. The Conservatives will not speak about that, so they'd rather we spend our time on this internal bickering about some numbers that the rest of the world is looking at Canada and saying, where are you? Where is your voice? Why are you not standing strong for the International Criminal Court and for justice, like so many of our allies, like our friends in Ireland who are not afraid to speak up?